The richest man in your office isn't wearing logos on his shoes. He's wearing a pair of shoes that took 50 hours to build, cost $8,000, and look almost identical to a basic pair from a department store. And that's exactly the point. Because the moment you recognize a luxury shoe, it stops working as one. Real wealth in 2026 doesn't wear Gucci. It doesn't wear Louboutin. It doesn't wear designer monograms. The actual wealthy moved on, quietly, deliberately, to shoemakers you've never heard of, with prices that would shock you, and craftsmanship that justifies every dollar. Today, we're exposing the 5 shoes real rich men actually wear. The brand at number 1 has dressed every British monarch for 150 years, and you can only buy from them in person by appointment. Let's get into it. Before we name brands, you need to understand one rule about how rich people actually buy shoes. Once you see it, every luxury shoe in every store starts to look different. Logos are a tax on insecurity. When a brand stamps a giant double G or a red sole on a shoe, they're charging you extra to advertise their brand for them. You're paying $1,500 to be a walking billboard. The richer the customer, the less they want to pay that tax. So the actual wealthy moved underground. They buy from shoemakers, who require knowledge to recognize, workshops without Instagram, and brands whose entire identity is being invisible to anyone except other people in the club. Here are the 5 shoes real rich men actually wear. Founded in 2006 by 2 former apprentices from John Lobb and Edward Green, Tony Gaziano and Dean Girling spent decades inside the most respected shoemaking houses in England before deciding to build their own. The brand operates out of Kettering, in the heart of the British shoemaking belt, and produces fewer than 5,000 pairs per year, total worldwide. Each pair is hand-finished using techniques that haven't changed since the 1800s. Hand-stitched soles, hand-burnished patinas, closed-channel construction, where the stitching is hidden under a flap of leather, requiring extra skill and adding nothing visible from the outside. A pair of Gaziano and Girling ready-to-wear shoes retails for $400 to $2,200. The Bespoke division, where the shoes are built from a wooden last carved specifically for your feet, starts at $5,500 and climbs to $9,000. Here's what makes Gaziano and Girling quiet luxury at the entry level. The shoes have no visible branding anywhere on the upper. The only marking is a small stamp inside the tongue and on the sole. To anyone watching, you're wearing a clean pair of black or brown leather shoes. To anyone who knows, you're wearing one of the rarest English-made shoes currently in production. Most Gaziano and Girling buyers are watch collectors, finance executives, or independent business owners who've already cycled through Allen Edmonds and Edward Green and want something fewer people will recognize. That's the entire pitch. The shoe that costs 4 times more than a Ferragamo but says half as much across a room. This is where things get genuinely obscure. Most people in luxury menswear have never heard of St. Crispin's, and that's exactly how the brand's customers want it. St. Crispin's was founded in Vienna in 1993, then relocated production to Romania to access traditional shoemaking labor at sustainable wages. Today, the brand operates a workshop in Bucharest where 40 craftsmen build approximately 3,000 pairs per year. The shoes are semi-bespoke, meaning customers select from a library of lasts, choose their leather, and have shoes built to their measurements without the cost of full bespoke. A pair of St. Crispin's ready-to-wear retails for $2,500 to $3,500. Semi-bespoke runs $3,500 to $4,500. The construction is hand-welted, not Goodyear welted, which is machine-assisted but actually hand-welted, a process where the welt is sewn to the upper and insole entirely by hand. That difference is invisible to anyone except other shoemakers, who recognize it instantly. Here's the part that defines St. Crispin's. The brand has no flagship store anywhere in the world, no e-commerce on their own site. They distribute through approximately 20 small boutiques globally. Skogsibolaget in Stockholm, Lefaux in New York, The Armory in Hong Kong. If you don't know the boutiques, you don't know the brand. That's not a marketing strategy. That's a deliberate filter. St. Crispin's customers are the kind of men who already shop at Skogsibolaget. The shoes never need to advertise because the customer network is closed. Two men can be wearing $4,000 St. Crispin's shoes in the same room and only recognize each other if they look closely at the heel construction or the bevel of the waist. Florence, Italy. The Italian master most people in America couldn't pick out of a lineup. Stefano Bemer founded the brand in 1983 and built his reputation as one of the few Italian shoemakers respected by serious English shoe collectors. Daniel Day-Lewis spent 6 months apprenticing in his workshop while preparing for a film role. That's not a marketing story. It's documented industry history. Bemer himself passed away in 2012, and the brand was acquired by Tommaso Milani, who preserved the workshop, the craftsmen, and the construction methods. Today, the workshop operates out of a 14th century building in Florence and produces approximately 2,500 pairs per year, between ready-to-wear and bespoke. A pair of Stefano Bemer ready-to-wear retails for $1,500 to $3,000. Bespoke starts at $7,500 and climbs to $12,000 depending on leather and complexity. The Bespoke uses a wooden last carved by hand specifically for each customer's feet, and the last is kept in the workshop forever, meaning you can order an identical pair decades later that fits your exact foot. Here's what makes Bemer particularly elite. The shoes use leather sourced from tanneries that supply only a handful of customers globally. Specifically, museum-grade calf from Dupuy in France and shell cordovan from Horween in Chicago at allocations that other brands cannot access. The leather alone is what separates a $3,000 Bemer from a $2,000 Italian competitor at a department store. The shoes have no visible branding. The only marking is a tiny Stefano Bemer stamped inside the tongue and on the sole. To anyone watching, you're wearing a clean Italian leather shoe. To anyone who knows, you're wearing one of the rarest Italian-made shoes currently produced. This is the brand that built the modern category of quiet luxury shoes before the phrase existed. Edward Green was founded in 1890 in Northampton, England, the global capital of high-end shoemaking. The factory has been producing shoes continuously for over 130 years with construction methods that have remained largely unchanged since the early 1900s. Hand-lasted uppers, Goodyear welted soles, hand-finished leather burnishing. The brand produces approximately 6,000 pairs per year, all from their Northampton factory. Most pairs are made by craftsmen who have worked in the same factory for 20 to 40 years. The training to become a fully qualified Edward Green craftsman takes a minimum of 10 years. A pair of Edward Green ready-to-wear retails for $2,800 to $2,500. The top drawer line, their highest tier ready-to-wear, runs $2,800 to $3,500. Bespoke is available by appointment in London and starts at $9,500. Here's what makes Edward Green a quiet luxury staple. The shoes carry no logo on the upper, no branding on the sole. The only marking is a small Edward Green tag inside the heel. Walk into any room of serious shoe enthusiasts in London, New York, or Tokyo, and you'll see Edward Greens on multiple feet, recognized instantly by the people who know, completely invisible to everyone else. The customer base includes British aristocracy, hedge fund executives, watch collectors, and tailors who outfit other wealthy clients. The shoes appear in serious menswear publications, vintage-style forums, and at private sample sales, never in mainstream advertising. Edward Green proves that the highest form of luxury shoemaking is the shoe that announces nothing and lasts forever. Customers routinely send pairs back for restoling after 15 to 20 years of regular wear. The shoes outlive the trends, the brands chasing them, and often the customers who bought them. If you have to ask the price, you can afford it. If you have to ask the address, you can't. John Lobb was founded in 1866 in London and has held a royal warrant, meaning they make shoes for the British royal family, since the late 1800s. The brand has been continuously dressing royalty, prime ministers, ambassadors, and the global ultra-wealthy for over 150 years. The Bespoke division still operates from 9 St. James's Street in London, where every pair of shoes is built by hand from a wooden last carved specifically for the customer's feet. The process takes 50 to 80 hours of skilled labor and 6 to 9 months from order to delivery. A pair of bespoke John Lobb shoes costs £5,500 to £8,000, roughly $6,800 to $10,000, depending on exchange rates and complexity. Each pair uses full-grain leather hands selected from European tanneries, oak bark tanned soles, and hand-stitched Goodyear welt construction that allows the shoes to be resoled indefinitely. Some customers have worn the same pair of John Lobb shoes for 30, 40, even 50 years, sending them back periodically for resoling and refurbishment. The shoe's wooden last is kept in the workshop forever, so you can order an identical pair decades later that fits your exact foot. Here's what makes John Lobb the ultimate quiet luxury statement. There is no logo anywhere on the shoe. The only marking is a small stamp inside the tongue. To anyone watching, you're wearing a clean pair of black or brown leather shoes. To anyone who knows, you're wearing the most expensive footwear on the planet that was built as a status symbol. The clientele list is the kind of detail John Lobb refuses to confirm publicly. Past customers reportedly include every British monarch since Edward VII, multiple US presidents, and a global roster of business titans whose names are recognized but whose shoe choices are not. John Lobb doesn't make shoes to impress strangers. They make shoes for the customer who already knows what they want and intends to keep it forever. That's the highest form of luxury. Permanence over flash, 5 brands, 0 logos, 0 advertising, 0 hype, Gaziano and Girling, St. Crispin's, Stefano Bemer, Edward Green, John Lobb. What do they have in common? They all let the shoe speak for itself. They all charge premium prices that reflect actual craftsmanship, measured in hours of human labor per pair, not in marketing spend. There's no celebrity ambassador wearing them in commercials. There's no Times Square boutique. There's just leather, technique, and time. This is what wealth actually walks into 2026. Not louder, quieter, not more visible, less. Why rich men abandoned luxury logos for decades, Gucci loafers, Louboutin red soles, and Ferragamo monograms were the universal signal of success. Wearing them meant you'd arrive. Then everyone could afford them. Or at least the entry-level products, belts, wallets, card holders, sneakers. Suddenly, the same logos that signaled wealth started appearing on teenagers, on knockoff markets, on every social media feed. The wealthy did what wealthy people always do when something becomes accessible. They moved. They moved into brands that required knowledge to recognize, into shoes that needed touch to appreciate, into workshops that didn't have storefronts. Quiet luxury isn't a trend, it's a migration. The old logo brands sold out their exclusivity, and the people who actually had money found new exclusivity in places no one else was looking. If you want to dress like you have money, stop buying shoes that need to remind everyone they're luxury. Start buying shoes that don't need to. What this means for you, you don't need to spend $10,000 on a pair of bespoke shoes to apply this lesson. The principle scales down. At every price point, the same logic works. Buy the brand with no visible logo over the brand with a giant one. Buy the construction over the campaign. Buy the workshop over the warehouse. A $400 pair of well-cut Goodyear welted leather shoes from a small Northampton-trained maker says more about you than a $200 pair of monogram designer loafers. A $250 pair of well-made Oxfords from a direct-to-consumer brand says more than a $700 pair with a brand stamped on the sole. The richest signal you can send isn't wealth, it's taste. And taste doesn't have a logo on the toe. It's knowing what not to show.